Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fifth session of the DSMA online forum. My name is John Wang. I'm the vice chairman of DSMA. Very, very excited to see you again online. And what's especially important is that today we have very special guests to talk about the topic of IoT disruptions and innovations. I think the pandemic has brought a lot of changes in the world, and IoT will be the framework and technology that will bring us forward. So with that, I would like to introduce Chairman Nick Chang to give us a brief opening. Nick, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Chen, Chairman of DSMA. DSMA represents an organization of digital visual multimedia solution, a non-profit trade association since inception of 2008. Our aim is to create and develop digital solution and multimedia application within the industrial and create more business cooperation platform and new business opportunities. Our collaboration with Intel has always been a great experience, as it helps our industrial members to gain more insight through sharing and exchanging the information at the conference. DSMA is leading industrial association in Asia Pacific, focusing on digital solution, multimedia application, AI, XR, MR. Of course, it also includes audio, visual, and digital signage. In particular, the recent metaverse is also our focus on area. So I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to join us at our upcoming Metaverse Technology Conference event that will head on 16 December. Look forward to see you soon. 大家好，我是郑前池，代表 DSMA 台湾在这边欢迎各位参加我们第5次的论坛。DSMA 一直都在支持国内跨界的平台，也支持对海外的发展。这次我们很高兴的邀请了Intel 来自美国的3位专家。我想大家都知道，站在巨人的肩膀上，不但可以让我们看得远，更容易让我们成功。我们十分关注 Intel 在2022的新的技术跟新的趋势，欢迎各位的参与。感谢各位，祝各位有一个成功的事业跟健康，谢谢。
Yep, thank you, Chairman Nick. And before we get started, I would like to introduce our opening guest, Mitchell Chang. He is the Global Sales Director, IoT Platforms and Solutions from Intel, to give us a brief overview of today's session. Mitchell.
Hey, good morning, John. Thanks for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be here, with 3 of our Intel colleagues to join DSMA, this is a series of the webinar to share Intel's view from the IoT world. We know that the whole world is changing rapidly. Digital transformation is evolving. So, we're going to take this chance, and thanks to DSMA's invitation, we're going to come over and share not from the vertical perspective, how Intel is working with the ecosystem partner from the hospitality's perspective, and then how the IoT devices is really change our life and be more customer-centric focus, collecting customer data, provide the data analytic and provide the business intelligence to the business owner. So we're going to also talk about the digital out of home, the market trend, okay? And last but not least, we will have the other colleagues, Michael. He actually is originally from Taiwan. He is now based in US, but he is in charge of supporting our ecosystem partners, how we come up with the partner programs, helping our customers to put all of the solution ingredients together as a market-ready solution and leverage the partner ecosystem from, we call it as an aggregators, to support our, the broader customers to adopt the so-called IoT technologies. All right. So Intel, I think our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, addressed very clearly to the market. Software and developers is been very important partner to us in Intel moving forward. So that would be our driving force and directions to support the ecosystem, no matter you are independent software vendor, ISV, or you are system integrator, cloud service providers, OEM or ODM. We would like to work with you together. So today, thanks to John and Nick, give us this opportunity to be here and share with the broader audience from DSMA how Intel's direction and the focus. A few of the focus we're gonna share with it today. All right. So hope you enjoy the rest of the presentation, and thanks again, John, for inviting us to be here.
Thank you so much, Mitchell. I'm sure today is going to be a great event. Now,
yes,
I know,
absolutely.
Yes, I know you all can't wait to get started, but before that, I will want to thank all our partners supporting this event. So, Edward, if you can bring up the slide, please. So, I think you all know that DSMA was founded near year 2008. And since then, we've enjoyed great partners, great members from all throughout the industry. On the screen is just a very brief list of some of the partners, some of the members that we have in our organization. And we would like to invite you, regardless if you are a original equipment provider, manufacturer, or if you're an integrator, even end user, I think by joining DSMA, you're going to get a lot of benefits. In addition to the members, we also like to thank all the association partners that have helped us. And also many of you have invited your members to this event today. I think it's through the cross-domain exchange of ideas that our industry and innovation can continue to develop. So thank you all. I know that your domains cover the hospitality, which we will focus today, cover digital multimedia, especially as Nick mentioned in the metaverse. So I think all of you, will hear a lot of relevant information today. So I would like to get our first session underway. The first session will be, we have a special guest, Mr. Marion Ishac. He is the Director of Business Development for Retail, Banking, Hospitality, and Education of the IoT group at Intel. Marion Ishac is the Director of Business Development in the Retail, Banking, Hospitality, and Education division at Intel, where he works closely with retail brands, creative agencies, and system integrators to shape the future of new technology platforms that deliver richer, more engaging, and more relevant customer experiences. Marion has over 30 years of experience in senior management positions and has an extensive track record in driving innovation in the vertical of retail, gaming, entertainment, printing, imaging, digital out-of-home, and programmatic advertisement. In addition to his work at Intel, Marion launched Cedrus Networks in 2009, a startup focused on smart grid mesh networks in the Middle East. And let's all give Ishac Marion a very warm welcome to speak about his topic today, digital out-of-home market trends. Marion, to you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. It is my pleasure talking to you about the status of the digital out-of-home industry, and more importantly, how we see technology reshaping the industry into becoming an addressable, accountable, and attributable digital medium. First, let's talk about the progress. We have a lot of positives. As an ad medium, digital out-of-home is one of only two media that continue to see positive growth year over year. Of course, this is pre-COVID-19. In fact, the industry experienced some 17% growth in 2019 and reached some $18 billion worldwide. In 2021, it is expected to grow by some 20% versus year 2020. This is for a reason. The industry has invested quite a bit in technology and data and analytics. We are no longer what we used to be, a one-to-many medium. We now have the ability to do audience planning, programmatic activation, and now measure attribution. In other words, we have become a truly digital medium and have the ability to reach the right target audience and help brands deepen their engagement with the consumer. Now that's on the programmatic and data side. On the technology side, the level of innovation is unprecedented in the areas of interactivity, touchless, edge compute, AI, virtualization, security, anonymous analytics, connectivity, gamification, and the list is very long. Now that's the good news. The bad news is we cannot be complacent. Even though we have all the ingredient and technology and resource capabilities to be a fully digital medium, we're only 14% programmatic. And this 14% is a whopping 365% increase over last year. So yes, we can pat ourselves on the back for such a great increase, but we need to be at close to 100%. We need to have end-to-end accountability. In fact, according to Xaxis of WPP, we can easily double as an advertisement medium and become a $35 billion industry by year 2025 if we continue to accelerate investment in attribution, programmatic, and technology. And of course, we will make this happen. Now, let's dig deeper into an initiative we launched in 2019 with the industry and is fast becoming the backbone behind the digital out-of-home industry becoming a fully digital medium. It is called 3A. 3A stands for addressable, accountable, and attributable. As a digital out-of-home industry, we're not going anywhere unless we can mimic what the world of online and mobile advertisement can do, anonymously and without any of their issues such as viewability, ad blocking, and fraud. And 3A gets us there. The first A is addressable, meaning we can serve an ad programmatically when the target audience is in proximity of the screen, when the target audience is actually inside of the store, in the aisle, in front of a digital shelf. The second A is accountable, meaning we can measure exposure, who looked at the ad, and for how long. We can even measure context anonymously, such as emotions, what zone of the screen the eye is gazing at. The third A is attributable, meaning for the first time ever, we can measure whether exposure to the ad drove real business outcome in the form of either offline to offline attribution or offline to online attribution. This is really a game changer for the industry, the fact that for the first time ever, we can measure lift in intent. Now, the first example of this is how data is being used for digital out-of-home planning. If you think about it historically, digital out-of-home from an out-of-home agency perspective has been bought as proximity buys near stores or near screens. What that means historically, if a brand store, say in a given city, wanted to buy digital out-of-home, it would work with the out-of-home agency, and the agency will recommend that we will buy all the out-of-home screens with proximity of 200 meters of any of the brand stores or screens in a given city. This is how historically digital out-of-home was bought. But the challenge about that, it does not say anything about where people live. Digital out-of-home should be intelligent about where the target audience live. So you can also buy and activate digital out-of-home near where the target audience live, not just near the destination. Now, the second way for data is the use of it for activation. Digital marketers have always wanted to target very custom audiences. And these are audiences that are usually based on location histories. For example, a major retailer might want to target shoppers that frequent one of their competitors' stores. This is an example of a very custom audience that uses location data history as the primary pivot to define the profile of a custom audience. Because the challenge for out-of-home for many years, by the way, while it was great for building brand, for messaging, the reality is that it is a media for one-to-many. And there are a lot of spill impressions and inefficiencies when you buy media this way. Because you may be planning to a composition audience where the audience is composed of impressions that are of no interest to the buyer. The end goal is to actually evolve the digital out-of-home to become a one to select many media by eliminating those spill impressions and by using data to activate it. Now, what makes this possible is the investment that digital out-of-home is making in building the programmatic and smart digital out-of-home ad server platforms, basically enabling a real-time decision on what is the best screen, at what time, and based on data. This moves us away from the traditional digital out-of-home, which is looped-based, to a new model that is geotemporal, on-the-fly ad-serving model. Now, equally important here is we're also capable of using computer vision and real-time analytics to understand viewability data in terms of who viewed the ad, their demographics, and dwell time, and being anchored in privacy. The third element of this example is how data is being used for digital out-of-home attribution. So it's really cool to talk about all this computer vision, how to make digital out-of-home smarter, how to target custom audiences. But at the end of the day, we really need to prove that it actually works. That's the point of attribution. A lot of companies, specifically large digital marketing agencies, have been really evolving their tech stack to be able to understand whether the online ad exposure would result in an offline visit in the store. So to a marketer, this is called online to offline attribution. Now, that is really important work for us. And what the digital out-of-home industry has been focusing on over the past 2 years is being able to understand whether devices that have been exposed to digital out-of-home activation, such as a billboard or a digital out-of-home screen, actually walked into a physical store. This is called offline to offline attribution. And there is a lot of advances being made by our industry. And we can start to measure lift and or surge due to exposure to ads on the digital out-of-home screen. Basically, we're starting to see our media agency planners and agencies use attribution techniques to understand how digital out-of-home exposure created in-store lift. Now, what's really important moving forward is to also understand the offline to online attribution, basically whether the exposure to an ad in the out-of-home industry is driving online conversion. Now, if we can prove that, we can really eat into a lot of the digital advertisement budgets and help further accelerate the advertisement revenue growth for the digital out-of-home. This is where we are going as well. So in summary, 3A is really critical, and our message is that every screen must become 3A compliant. And in doing so, our industry has an opportunity to raise the CPM value, increase the ad spend, and make the digital out-of-home a core media for every brand multi-channel strategy. So what is our strategy to drive the industry to grow and become a core media? Our strategy is twofold, and we're working with the industry at large, with the DPAA, with the agency world, including large agencies such as WPP and Dentsu, to enable the digital out-of-home industry to become 3A compliant. Number one, we need the industry to adopt 3A at scale. The path forward must be around programmatic, measurement, and attribution. And on that front, we have launched a number of deployments in the UK, the US, Japan, Latin America, China, and soon South Korea, to prove that 3A is the way forward. And one of the key proof points was a campaign that we launched with Hivestack and Liveboard in Japan, and it proved the power of audience planning, programmatic, and 3A. We were able to measure 8.8% lift in intent for our key target audiences. This is huge. We are making progress, and as I said earlier, close to 14% of the ad spent on digital out-of-home is now programmatic, but we need it to become 100%, and we will get there. Number two, as far as strategy, we need our technology partners to innovate at the speed of the internet. When you think of the next generation digital out-of-home screen, a screen that has so much edge compute, 5G connectivity, AI, security, AI awareness, all of a sudden we have so much potential. We have an opportunity to make the advertisement screen one of the most engaging advertisement media. We have an opportunity actually to expand the business model of the digital out-of-home screen beyond just advertisement into the areas of research, marketing, brilliant creatives. We have an opportunity to take the digital out-of-home screen into the store as well and enable brands and retailers to engage the shopper when they are in the store with experiences that are remarkable and relevant. The future of the digital out-of-home industry is incredibly exciting, and technology is going to play a foundational role in making that happen. Our job at Intel is investing in the right platforms, both hardware and software, work with our partners to innovate and be efficient, work with our media owners to start investing in the right infrastructure and making it super easy for application providers to drive adoption at scale. Show what is possible with so much technology at your fingerprints and engage the creative agencies to reimagine what can be done on the digital out-of-home screen. We are working with the industry in all of these areas. Now, let me spend a few minutes how the digital out-of-home industry, in spite of COVID-19 and the Delta variant, continues to innovate and set us up for growth post-COVID-19. Now, of course, COVID-19 has introduced a number of challenges for our industry. In fact, the pandemic has resulted in a reluctance to use touchscreens in public places, such as retail stores. Until just a few months ago, touchscreens had become very ubiquitous on everything, from mobile devices to in-store self-service kiosks. Now, it's against this backdrop we're starting to see the beginning of a new era of touchless innovations. For example, gesture control is being integrated with haptics technology to replicate physical interactions, an approach that's being pioneered by one of our partners, AlphaLeap. Their mid-air haptics technology, it uses ultrasound to create a sensation that mimics touch. Another key technology is voice control. One of our partners, SodaClick, has developed a hands-free, voice-activated, interactive digital signage solution for self-service kiosk and drive-through systems. Again, powered by Intel technologies, their voice system uses machine learning and multilingual neural net speech recognition along with vision detection. Now, what this does, it enables real-time, immersive, hands-free experience for consumers. So our industry is really investing quite a bit in innovation. And what makes all of this possible is the level of compute and development tools like OpenVINO that Intel is putting into the hands of innovators in our space. In summary, the future of digital out-of-home screen is about enabling the screen to become 3A aware or audience aware, a screen that is able to render rich experiences and media in real time, is context aware, recognition aware, and recognition that is responsible, touchless, AI responsive, managed and secure, and connected. And this is not a vision for 2025. This is a vision that we can make happen today. We have enabled a very rich ecosystem to enable the digital out-of-home screen to become a fully digital media, much like the world of online and offline. We have worked with the industry to accelerate investment in ad stack platforms and mobile data providers, and this to enable audience planning, programmatic activation, and of course, attribution. We're working with a number of ISVs to bring AI to the edge. As an industry, we have an opportunity to leverage the tens of thousands of AI models and monetize those models via the digital out-of-home screen. We have enabled a number of hardware and software providers to enable the media players to become 3A compliant and make it as easy as plug and play. Our Intel team takes a lot of pride in helping our industries grow and innovate. We always invest on behalf of our industries to make it easy to deliver innovation. Specific to digital signage and digital out-of-home, we introduced a number of first and innovative form factors, including Intel Smart Display Module, open pluggable specifications. We have introduced a number of enabling technologies and development capabilities, including Intel AMT, OpenVINO, and security features. And we have introduced a number of design references to make it easy to launch innovations in the area of digital out-of-home and digital signage. Now, before I leave you, I would like to share some 4 takeaways for media owners in the digital out-of-home space as you start to make investment in next generation screens. It's really important for you to future-proof your investment. Number 1, look further than you can see. Smart technology might seem niche for now, but the gap between niche and mainstream is likely to be a small one. Number 2, think bigger than your business category today. Smart screens and sensors enable owners, brands, and retailers to become transport providers, market researchers, and even crime fighters. The connected world is now your business opportunity. Number 3, cheap is not good value anymore. Opting for a base level, low cost screen technology that does what you need it to right now is potentially a very costly decision for you in the future. So failing to equip your infrastructure with the right technology that will make it a part of smart cities in the future will likely cost you opportunities in the not too distant future. And number 4, and the last one, is focus on the benefit for the consumer, and the privacy concerns will absolutely take care of themselves. Being on the right side of the law is really important, of course, but so is being on the right side of the consumer. There is a fine balance between being helpful, entertaining, and downright creepy. So be sure, please, to be absolutely transparent about the data that you collect, what you do with it, and more importantly, how ordinary people will benefit. Thank you again. It was my honor to speak to you today.
Thank you so much, Marion, for a great presentation. And to our audience, I want to also make you aware that the presentations, due to time differences, we really appreciate the Intel crew's help to enable us to pre-record it just a couple of days before the event, so we can ensure a smooth experience. And also, but the guests are, they are really kind to join us for the Q&A session. So this Q&A session is live. Please do send us your questions through YouTube. Yeah, Marion, I really love your presentation. Myself, I've, as many members of our industry, have been doing digital signage for over a decade now, and we definitely see this emergence of audience-aware digital signage. Your 3A advice, I think, is very timely. I think very well summarizes where the technology advancement is. So a question comes in regarding all the computer vision and AI technologies that's now collecting the data that we need to ensure the ad is effective. So how do we ensure privacy? Is there any compliance concerns that can be addressed, maybe with Intel technology as well?
John, thank you so much again, and thank you for all the great work that you do. And of course, you had to ask the hardest question for around privacy.
Only
but
to
here,
the best speakers. Yes.
But as a digital out-of-home industry, we absolutely need to be anchored in privacy. Today, all of the SSP platforms, and there's quite a bit, a number of programmatic platforms in our industry, whether it's the Hivestacks, the Vistar Media, the Broadsign, the Idamni, there's a Pilot TV in Taiwan in your backyard, right? All of them, they have the ability to serve ads programmatically, and they use opt-in and or what I would call privacy compliant data, such as the device ID or the advertisement ID on the Android or IDFA on the iPhone. And this data is actually being used for audience planning, activation, and attribution. Now, moving forward, and here's the issue, and why we need computer vision. Both Apple and Google have actually announced plans to limit the use of the device IDs. They want to make it super easy for the consumer to opt out all at once, right? What that does, though, it opens up the opportunity to leverage the sensing data or the camera data or computer vision data to make sense of the audiences, to understand context, and in real time inform what relevant ad or creative you want to activate on the screen. This is where it becomes really critical as a media owner, right? As data becomes really super important moving forward, that you have enough edge compute on the digital out-of-home screen to be able to make sense of the image in less than 10 milliseconds. We're talking about like 1/100th of a second. I mean, I hope we have enough mathematicians in the audience to understand what 10 millisecond is. I mean, that is nothing. That is so, it's like 1/100th of a second.
Instantaneous.
And the reason you want to do that, because you want to process and delete the image, not store the image, not send the image to the cloud for analytics. All what we want the processing to do to process the image and send the metadata to the cloud. Now, as an industry, I believe we can develop a data and privacy policy around this. And again, I cannot overemphasize how critical, as media owners who are on this call, as they look to invest in the future, to future-proof their investment and ensure that they're making an investment in the right edge platform in order to ensure that their screen has enough processing to ensure that their screen is privacy compliant, in addition to be able to render what I talked, in my presentation, being able to render high def media. Today it's full HD. Tomorrow it can be, 2K, 4K. 3 years from now, the screen is not going to change XYZ coordinate. You have to support 8K format. So you have to render that, decode, encode in real time. So you need to ensure that you are really investing in the right platform.
Great advice. Marion, I apologize, but I think we run out of time for your session, but we'll definitely forward you any questions that we receive from the internet. And I want to thank you once again for a great presentation. We look forward to have our members collaborate with Intel on some of your advanced technologies.
Thank you so much again, John, for having me here.
Great. So next up, we have a presentation from Orietta Verdugo. She is the general manager of the hospitality sector of the retail banking, hospitality, and education group, IoT group at Intel. Orietta Verdugo is the general manager of the hospitality sector of the IoTG at Intel Corporation. She leads the worldwide hospitality, restaurant, and entertainment businesses, which entails delivering platforms and solutions for digital signage, interactive kiosks, point of sale, vending, and edge compute. She's responsible for initiatives that fuel growth and drive the digital transformation for the industry that includes artificial intelligence and computer vision. And Ms. Verdugo has held various leadership positions in product marketing, supply chain operations, process improvement. Earlier in her career, she was the manufacturing manager for the substrate packaging technology development factory at Intel. Her work assignments have been in various industries across US, Mexico, and Spain. And she is also a community advocate who spends her free time with organizations to promote, educate, and advance women and minorities in STEM. She is a recipient of the Society of Women Engineers and Emerging Leaders Award and the Young Hispanic Corporate Achievers Award from the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility. She is named one of the 40 Hispanic leaders under 40 by Univision Radio, Phoenix and Valle del Sol. In 2017, she became the youngest professional to be induced into her high school's Hall of Fame. Wow. So let's all look forward to Orietta's session to give us some updates on the hospitality digital transformation. I believe it's definitely one of the most impacted sectors during the pandemic. So your warm welcome to Orietta, please.
Hi, I'm Orietta Verdugo. I'm so excited to be with all of you today. This past year has been an acceleration in the digital transformation for businesses and institutions. We saw more change in the course of 2 months than we had in the past 2 decades. Companies had to be agile, learn how to work remotely, change the way customers are ordering, buying, and also communicating with brands. We saw something also happen quite different that we would never expect. In entertainment, we were able to watch blockbuster movies on release dates from the comfort of our home. We saw big artists like Ariana Grande put on a concert in Fortnite in gaming, and you saw her avatar singing as she sung live. And then this past month, Facebook changed their name to Meta for Metaverse. What is to come in this world where the physical world is merging into this virtual world? And so it's to no surprise that it is, COVID that really changed this landscape as we began to digitize. So consumers have been rapidly adopting a variety of omni-channel strategies. In retail today, you can order online. You have the options to pick up in the store, curbside, or have it delivered to your door. Restaurant customers are citing that convenience is what's most important to them when they choose a place to eat. Convenience on how close it is to their home, if they want it delivered or if they want to dine in. And we've seen more and more hotels adopt kiosks to help reduce the queues, the lines in the queues, and have guests feel more comfortable with technology and how to communicate with hotel staff. But what's also important that's happening is that today, 40% of the population, or the majority of the population today, are the Gen Zs. They're the first digital native generation. And what the pandemic did is even the older generation started adopting technology as they were communicating with family and friends. And so more and more people throughout the generations have adopted technology, understand it, are okay with it. And this is why frictionless options are now becoming essential in that customer experience. And we can't really talk about hospitality without really talking about what are the current events happening. Enterprises the past couple of years have relied more on video conferencing, online marketing tools, and online training, and figured out a way to do business remotely. And so this notion of work from home really became work from anywhere. And we saw more and more employees take vacations or leave their home and work from a hotel room as their family enjoyed the vacation. In this past quarter, more borders are opening. The US, EMEA, Australia, many countries within Southeast Asia have announced open borders, are slowly opening their borders, meaning more tourism to come. And companies are trying to figure out how to are slowly starting corporate travel, especially now as conferences, expositions, and meetings are starting to be planned for the upcoming year. And as we start looking at these meetings and events occurring, it's more important now to hotels to start considering crowd management solutions to understand the capacity within a room, safety protocols, and any other safety regulations that must be followed. And then we can't forget the labor headwinds. It's not a surprise to anyone that hospitality industry was really impacted the most in terms of furloughs for employees. And now as travel is coming back, as events are coming back, more hotels have open jobs, and employees are hesitant to go work there. And so we're at this time where hotels are now looking at technology to help them with all of these things, working from home, opening up, and really providing a better employee experience through technology. And as these trends are occurring, the most important thing, or what's really top of mind to hotels, is the guest experience. They're opening their doors for the first time in a long time, and they want to be hospitable. They want to do what hoteliers love to do, is be a host to guests and provide a seamless arrival, a memorable in-room experience, provide an experience, a very different dynamic experience for how they're ordering their food, and also buying at the mini markets. And I'll touch base a little bit more about each of these. So let's take a look at the seamless arrival. The past 10 years, airlines have adopted self-service kiosks, online check-in, and the electronic boarding passes. And it took about 10, 15 years for the slow progression of technology to come on to airline industries. And now you can check in online, you can change your seat right before, upgrade, know what food is going to be on the plane, what entertainment's available. And this change has really made hotels, now travelers are expecting the same experience from hotels. And hotels are really trying to look at how do you provide this level of service. And we're seeing the same trends happening in hotels with online check-in and coming in and using a kiosk to get your key, or using a kiosk on-prem to check in and get your key. And there's also this looking at how do we do keyless entry? So you're able to go straight from the lobby into your room when you arrive. Now, this thing about seamless arrival isn't just about technology and it's not just about more technology. It's about providing guests with choice. A choice that if I'm a frequent traveler, if I'm alone, if it's late at night and I want to go straight to my room, I have an option to do that. Or if I'm here with my big family, or I'm new to the country and I don't know the language and I need to talk to someone from the front desk, I have all of those options to do. And it really provides a different level of service. Seamless arrival, with some of this technology, it really helps reduce queues. Research has shown that a 5-minute wait time in check-in really lowers guest satisfaction by 50%. And there's these methods to really help expedite that time. Now, next, you can't talk about hotels without the in-room experience. And there's many automation and controls that are happening in the hotels, where we saw the use of natural language processing to control the lights, the heat, the window panes, or using your cell phone to control these, contactless methods. Something that's also happening that is really going to change the landscape of a hotel is the entertainment business. And that now there's over 200 streaming services. And when you're in your hotel room, hotels provide options of you can stream from an app on the TV, or you can cast from your phone to the TV. And we're seeing Netflix recently announce their gaming services. And so with streaming, what that is going to bring this need for the change of your connectivity and your network, driving the need for low latency and high bandwidth connectivity. In Asia specifically, we've seen a higher adoption of service robots to help carry your luggage upstairs or provide room service. We have to talk about food and beverage in the hotel. And there's a lot of things happening in the restaurant side in terms of the digitalization. For the hotel, it's about ordering and making reservations. How can I avoid that long line for breakfast in the morning? And making it that communication directly with the hotel, or a central communication with the hotel or the restaurant. But we're also seeing this technology happening inside of the kitchen. And in many hotels, they have a kitchen that really serves many of the restaurants on the premise. Earlier this year, McDonald's shake machine was hacked. And now we're hearing from big restaurants the need for sensors on their appliances, understanding and security on those appliances. They want to know what's on, what's off. Is it set at the right temperature? Preventative maintenance information about what's happening in the kitchen. And there's been this big boom of off-prem delivery with third-party delivery services in restaurants. And there were some hotels that were actually using their restaurant as a ghost kitchen, servicing and delivering food to the neighborhood. But now delivery is more about delivery to the customer anywhere in the property. Many hotels, resorts that I've spoken to say, hey, I have retail here. I have restaurants on my property. Why is it that when my guest comes, they're still going across the street to eat somewhere else? And they're looking at ways to really integrate the food, the retail with all of the hotel amenities. And now you're able to order from any restaurant on the property and have it delivered wherever you are, to your room, or if you're poolside. Grab and go is something that's upkicking, and this is really more toward the mini markets that we have. We've seen these right next to the lobby, and they could be in many forms: a smart vending machine, a self-service checkout, or in some cases, an autonomous store. And this is really the evolution of the grab and go stores. But what this does is really helps augment labor and really provides an easier way to have a mini market that's open 24 hours a day, giving that guest that flexibility. They need water to buy water, drinks, snacks, or even some emergency medicine during their stay. Something else that's happening out in the hotel industry, outside of looking at these spaces, is that hotels really want to now use computer vision and technology to understand the customer journey. They want to understand context awareness. Where is everybody at in the property? Where are they going? Are they going in front of that sign? Did they miss that ad? Do they know there's a coffee shop, or are they ordering other places? And using that data to provide personal ads and promotions to their guests. And even understand more about the membership offering. Today, there is membership offerings, but some might like one over another. And how do you customize these offerings based on what the customer does every time they visit the property? And last is really regarding sustainability. Now, energy and water uses in hotels have been top of mind for the industry for many years. And we're seeing now more hotels using LED lighting or using power over Ethernet, so they can now communicate with these low voltage devices that control the window shades, the lights, the mini bars. Another interesting thing is hotels are looking at how to gamify guests so they could get either points or incentivize them to save on water and energy uses, whether they don't get extra towels or extra sheets during their stay. And what COVID has also done is put an increase in food and safety cleanliness. An increase in looking at food safety and food wastage solutions to support that. And not to mention with supply chain constraints today, this is becoming even more important, where restaurants or kitchens and chefs want to understand, hey, should we reduce the number, the serving size? Is it getting thrown away? Or are we making too much food? How much food is going to waste at the end of the day? And as electric and hybrid cars start becoming more and more popular, these electric car stations are being powered through that are being powered either solar panel or a more sustainable way inside of the parking lots and the garages of hotels. So what I want to share with you today is this a video. It's a quick video of what the hotel of tomorrow will look like based on some of these things that I just talked about. So take a look here.
Hotels powered by the latest Intel architecture bring a range of exciting opportunities for enhanced immersive guest experiences, whilst also increasing operational efficiencies. From the moment guests that have opted in to share their information arrive, they are instantly recognized from the hotel's loyalty database. Here they are prompted to use a self-check-in kiosk, while their luggage is taken care of by robot porters. Whilst this process is taking place, the room is preparing itself for the guest's arrival, setting the temperature, ventilation, and even the colour and intensity of lighting based on preferences from their previous stay. After checking in, package guests can visit the hotel's 24/7 grab-and-go store. Here, they gain entrance via face detection or mobile device login, whilst an AI monitors items that guests take and charge directly to their room. Data on purchases is stored for later visits and upsell purposes. Digital signage displays relevant content based on guest demographics wherever they are in the hotel. And the OpenVINO-based security surveillance systems will ensure they feel safe and secure. Guests approaching their room will find that their face is the key. Gone are the days of losing your keycard. Inside, every feature from the shower to the TV can be operated by touch or voice command.
Dim the lights, please.
Sensors monitor air quality and cleanliness, as well as room occupancy, ensuring energy is only consumed when the room is occupied. Dining is just as personalised, with menus that reflect a guest's dietary preferences and that adapt to time of day and weather conditions. Once guests have finished their meal, payment can be charged straight to their room or confirmed through biometrics using a tabletop tablet. The Hotel of Tomorrow will be powered by an ecosystem of Intel-based intelligent devices, connected by a centralised back-end. Data will be generated and shared across all guest interaction points, from check-in to in-room to dining, offering an immersive and personalised guest experience that increases loyalty and guest satisfaction.
This video provides a view of what the future can look like with technology inside of a hotel. And what's interesting now is that today there's estimated 8 billion connected devices, and it's expected to triple in the next 10 years. And technology has never been more important to humanity. And you can see here that Intel predicts that this growth in technology is only going to grow at an exponential rate. And so what is the digitalization is really enabled by edge to cloud technologies. And today with these devices, as we start putting artificial intelligence inside of kitchen appliances, inside our signage, inside of the walls of a hotel, we now understand what is happening, and we can now drive data decisions on how we operate the hotel. And what AI does is it brings automation to the device. Now they could become autonomous. And when you add edge and cloud, it really helps support the data. Where is it stored? Helps with device management, the cost. More and more hotels are moving to SaaS models and various SaaS models. And so connectivity is going to be more and more important to ensure that devices are secure, they're getting alerts, and you're providing the right bandwidth for the solutions. So let's take an instance where you either have a robot in your hotel or you're using a keyless entry. All it will take is one bad experience with the connectivity not working, where that solution now has a negative connotation to the guest. So as I've been working more and more with hoteliers, I have found that bringing in the team, the connectivity piece is more and more important. So I'm really excited, to start partnering with the DSMA on projects. I have found that, as I'm working with hotels, there's different hotels that are looking at different things. One is there's some who want very specific point solutions. I need help with the seamless arrival, or I need support with a very specific piece. But then there's also hoteliers who are looking more at the digital transformation and looking at steps. How do I integrate things here and then connect it? How do I connect my kitchen to the restaurants, to the overall restaurants? How do I understand what's happening in the overall of my property based on all these point solutions that I have? And what's also quite another trend that I'm seeing is that new builders and the real estate property owners are now, as they're building their hotels, they're really future-proofing it for what the technology is going to bring in that area. And we're having more and more conversations and creating really a consortium of companies, because it's no longer about marrying hardware and software. It's hardware and software to create a solution, but you have many solutions that need to be integrated. And then you need to ensure that there's the right capability, connectivity, and security to make all of this happen. And so what I really like about this team here today is that you all have very different roles and views as we create this. And it really takes a collective wisdom to create these solutions to really help digitize hospitality. So I leave you with this. I think the possibilities are endless when it comes to hotels, and we're just getting started. And I would love to start working with you on some engagement and really start reimagining the future of hospitality. I look forward to your questions and connecting with you after this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Orietta. I must first apologize that the video quality is really subpar. I think you look great right now, I mean, in the live session, but if somehow the video playback was really bad. So we apologize, but for the online, hi, how are you? Yeah, for the online video recording, we're going to replace that with a better resolution, so our audience will be able to enjoy the content that you presented, which is really great and timely. Thank you once again for a great presentation.
Hi, John. Great. It's great to be here. Really excited to hear from the audience.
Yes.
I saw there was I think a question earlier.
Yes. Right. So yeah, we'll field the question. So yeah. Definitely, I think the use cases that you shared are very inspiring. I think the audience wants to know, in your experience, what has been in most highest demand, and maybe that's where they can get started and get the best results.
Yeah, I think it's great because I talked about several things. I think from a hotel property perspective, there's so many options. That's why I think that like I ended, the possibilities are literally endless, right? Yeah. Depending on what they want to do. But right now the focus is, hey, getting people in. And it's really about, because of the labor headwinds that we're seeing, it's really about that check-in. That arrival process. And there's multiple ways of doing that. And what brands, it's really about what the brand wants and the feeling that they want and what they represent. And so that's really exciting because it gives us room to move from the different types of kiosks or online or what it is that looks like, and even like what it looks like and the feel, just to provide that service. The other piece is really regarding the food and beverage. Food and beverage is a big piece of revenue for the hotel. And how are we supporting food and beverage? There's often questions. And many big hotels own the restaurants that are on their property. And so it becomes more not just about the room service, but what are all the restaurants that they have? And so it's important that when we talk to hoteliers, we also seek to understand if they also own the restaurants that are on their property. Because then you can start tying some of the same solutions. That same kiosk can be the same kiosks that are in the restaurants, for example.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That smooth experience coming back, and a lot of times customers prefer doing it touchlessly, maybe doing it on their phone and or just with a mobile a tap of their mobile phone. And I think maybe many of our clients do either support hotels. I know Chairman Nick is a big operator integrator in the hotel business, or they own hotels. And many of them do have restaurants where sometimes our members do gather in those venues. So I do agree with you. Those two are definitely highly in demand. So I think many of our members can't wait to get started with Intel solutions. So how do they get started?
Yes, I'm excited too. So I have a colleague and partner who's in Taiwan, Mitchell Chang. I think he's online, he's listening. So hopefully we'll be giving after this our contact information. But Mitchell is in Taiwan. And I think what is great is what I like about this association is that you guys are really tied to the hospitality industry. Taiwan is like a hub for technology, and how great it is. My vision is how great would it be as a lot of this innovation is also happening and being deployed in Taiwan. So as we get as we get more visitors, we're experiencing these solutions and we're able to really showcase them to our customers or to more customers and brands through the hotels in Taiwan. So we have my team, it's a global team. And so I would love to start some of these things with the Taiwan ecosystem and the Taiwanese hotels. And then we could start talking about scaling them anywhere else. But I would like to, you could certainly reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. But Mitchell is in Taiwan. And like I said, he's a great partner and colleague who can also help drive these conversations. And I will say, just before, I think next, Michael's going to be talking a little bit about our partner programs and what Intel does, how we partner, the type of engagements we have. And so I think the next session, if you can stay on, you can hear a little bit more about that. So I encourage you. So thanks so much. And I hope to connect.
Thank you so much, Orietta, and what a great segue to the next section, which indeed will be presented by Michael Lin, and he is the Director of IoT Ecosystem and Solutions Scale at IoTG, Intel. So Michael is responsible for the global solutions scale channels and distribution growth strategy within IoTG organization. A major responsibility of this role is leading the Intel IoTG Solution Aggregator Program and business practice to enable IoT solution scale and channel acceleration as part of this digital transformation journey for the AI and IoT ecosystem. Michael has over 15 years of experience at Intel with numerous leadership positions across the company in US and Asia. Prior to the role in IoTG, Michael served as the Regional Sales and Marketing Director in Sales Marketing Group at Intel Asia, leading the regional market development and co-selling team to drive consumption and design win pipeline for the IoT business. Michael holds a master's degrees in E&E engineering from the University of Auckland, New Zealand, and is currently based in the US with his family and enjoys travel, skiing, and golfing. So with that, we will pass the stage to Michael, and we will give you a warm welcome. Thank you, Michael.
Hello, good morning. My name is Michael Lin. I'm the Global Director of IoT Ecosystem Solution Scale at Intel. Now, it's an honor to be invited by DSMA today to give you a little sharing about the opportunities that Intel sees in the IoT world and how do we actually address some of the problems and challenges by bringing some of the solutions and programs, to partners like yourself and accelerate the values, for the company and for the ecosystem. Now, I'm sure that many of you would agree with me that the Internet of Things is at the center of the world and is a disruptive force that is changing the business models in just about every single industry, particularly the opportunities at the edge, that we actually see a tremendous sizes of growth over the last few years. Some of the data companies indicates there are 55% of the data that'll be generated by any IoT devices in 2025. And then 43% of some of the AI tasks and workload will also be processed on an edge device by the year of 2023. Now, at the same time, roughly about 70% of the enterprises that are going to have to, process some of their data at the IoT edge in the same year. Now, these all really tells us, how big of an opportunity that we are all facing in the IoT world today. Now, these great opportunities brought by the IoT doesn't just come for free. There are also equally so many challenges that we have to face almost on a daily basis. Now, if you look at the complexity of end-to-end solutions to be deployed, to how do we actually get the solutions commercially available to the market across multiple similar end users, system integrators, and making sure that they can have an access to those solutions and offerings. And last but not least, the time to market and ultimately time to value is also a critical aspect of how some of the business owners, determine the success for themselves. So with all the challenges and opportunities that's mentioned above, Intel is trying to make it in an easier way, for you to really enjoy some of the benefits and addressing some of those opportunities ahead of us. Now, a simple way of thinking about how our offerings adds up is about these three sales motions or three anchors, if you will. Starting with the build and building all these different cutting edge technologies, design and optimize to provide capabilities critical for IoT implementations, as well as the deploy, right? And so when we actually have all the ingredients put together, we wanted to make sure that they are actually delivered and integrated in the form of a solution to increase the efficiency and really just optimize all the values to some of our system integrators and end users in the downstream and addressing some of the business outcomes for themselves. Last but not least, scale, right? And so in many cases, especially in the IoT world where it's so fragmented, how do we ensure that a lot of those ingredients, solutions that can be made rapidly available to some of the downstream ecosystem, particularly the SMB businesses? And these are some of the critical things that when we are designing our ecosystem strategy that we are looking into. So if we try to actually put those sales motions into a infographic and mapping them into the value chain of the ecosystem, now you can see that these are some of the corresponding partner types that we are addressing into some of the corresponding sales motions mentioned above. But today, I really wanted to focus more onto the downstream and the solutions that we bring to the audience like yourself today, which is the Intel Market Ready Solution, MRS, or Intel RRP Ready Kits, also known as RRK. Now, the Intel Market Ready Solution and RRP Ready Kits really remove some of the complexity associated with the IoT deployments and give some of the end users and system integrators the confidence of some proven offerings. The Intel MRS and RRK accelerate the adoption of IoT by vetting the offers for completeness, the repeatability, and scalabilities, right? So if you look at some of the characteristics, it's actually an end-to-end solution from with hardware, software ingredients, edge to cloud. And also it's a repeatable, proving in the market through some existing commercial deployments. And last but not least, we kind of talk about the scaling aspects earlier. It's something that's also ready to order and deploy at mass commercial scale, across many countries and regions. Now, so if we're actually putting the Intel Market Ready Solution and Intel RRP Ready Kits side by side, you can see that there's quite a few of the similar aspects, in many areas. However, there are still some very unique difference in the characteristics between the two, right? So an Intel Market Ready Solution, or MRS, is really intended for, the immediate end user deployments. It's really tailored to address some specific industry problems and the challenges that has been defined and outlined by, by all the different industries. It's already in production today, right? So most of our MRSs, they are at least has been deployed commercially once in the world somewhere. And that is one of the criteria for them to become a market-ready solution. And it's end-to-end, repeatable, scalable as a unique aspect of the solution offering itself. And typically includes, from all the different ingredients from the edge, hardware, software, and in some cases, the deployment engine included as well. On the other hand, an Intel RRP Ready Kits, it's more tailored and intended for system integrators in general, where it actually consisted of like a list of building blocks, to accelerate their deployments. All these technologies and building blocks, they are interoperable offerings that allow a higher level of customization based on different specific customer requirements. It's use case focused, and again, it's similarly repeated and scalable as a foundational requirements, to become a Intel RFP ready kits or Intel RRK. So for those who are still probably having a little, confusions between the two, now if I try to use this picture to show you, Intel MRS is just basically just like a complete bowl of noodle, right? So the target audience is the actual eaters. And essentially you have already got all the ingredients that's been cooked, that's been put together by the chef, and it's ready to go. Now, on the other hand, an Intel RRK is really just like a ingredient box, if you will, and has got most of those ingredients and building blocks, sitting and packaged inside a box. And the target audience in this case is really the chef, not the eaters, right? So you really need a chef, in this case, the system integrators, to really help you to put some sort of those secret sauces on top and make them available for your local markets as well as some specific customer requirements. Now, if we actually look into, depending on the role that you play in the ecosystem, now if you're already having a solution that you wanted to, maybe explore the opportunity to be validated as an Intel MRS or RRK, there are so many benefits that the programs are providing to you as a solution provider. These are the things that's been listed on the left-hand side of the box, right? So from a typical dedicated Intel sales training material that we're going to create together with you, all the way to some dedicated co-marketing, funding supports, reimbursements to your activities in go-to-market, demand generation, etc. Various of ecosystem matchmaking that we have been facilitating from time to time, and so on and so forth, right? Now, on the other hand, on the right-hand side, these are really just a lot of those opportunities as a benefit that you can think of if you are potentially a recipient of an Intel RRK or MRS. Now, Intel has also been putting a lot of those investments into leading, activities and events like what I mentioned earlier. And there are some typical tailored amplification on the marketing side, contents that you'll be able to take on, matchmaking, right? We couldn't talk about that earlier. And, one also very unique benefit I wanted to highlight here is the access to our IoT solution aggregator channels, and also some of their, regional, resources and external channels for potential, business engagements and amplifications. Now, over the last, 3-4 years or so, these programs have already created tremendous amount of progress and results for the ecosystem and our partners. Now, like what you can see here, up until today, there are already more than 500 Intel RFP ready kits and Intel market ready solution combined, coming from more than 300 partners. And, there are also more than 24,000 deployments that's been reported. A critical aspect I wanted to share here is 90% of them are a repeated deployment, meaning, the same solution that has been deployed into a different customer or an end user sites to address the similar problems, coming from a different or similar use cases or industry. And, a lot of those offers that has already been deployed multiple times. And as you can see here, there are close to 150 countries that these solutions have been deployed into, coming from, we could talk about 300 or so partners coming from the 33 countries up until 2020. So it's really a proven programs that's driving and, establishing a lot of values for our ecosystem partners. And as I do encourage you to really reach out, to some of your local representatives and understand about more details about the Intel RMK, Intel MRS, and the respective programs. Now, we kind of talk about the deploy offers. And, the other critical piece I wanted to touch on today is really the scaling channel. And that is the Intel IoT solution aggregators. Now, for those who have limited understanding about what is an IoT solution aggregator, and essentially it is really an emerging role that's needed and curated together and partnered together with Intel to accelerate the IoT ecosystem. It is positioned to aggregate multiple suppliers' ingredients, solutions, products together, and offer them as a complete IoT solution stack that's addressing the business problems and needs that we actually mentioned before, in multiple applications, multiple markets. Now, it also serves as a scaling engine, to the downstream ecosystem via the existing or extended sales arm, if you will, and trying to really bring, a lot of those aggregated IoT solutions to many solution or system integrators to the downstream. In some cases, all the way to the end users as well. And similarly, if I try to put this into an infographic, as you can see clearly, the IoT solution aggregators sitting in the middle that's providing a one-stop shop services for an access to a bundle of solutions. They are also providing and also perceived as a scaling channel to facilitate a lot of the go-to-markets. You'll be able to reach out and engage with any given aggregator to really drive any kinds of demand generation activities, matchmaking activities to either source for a solution or maybe promote your solution, depending on the role of of your play across the ecosystem. And most of them also have the ability to provide certain level of stocking inventory services along with some other services such as financial and logistic capabilities like a typical distributor, if you will. Now, a very unique differences between a component distie and a solution aggregator is a solution aggregator is more on the solution stack, right? Essentially, they are the one that's carrying and deploying on a solution, higher level of solution stack rather than just a component level, right? So many of you probably think about them are the same, even though it's the same company that we are partnering with, but fundamentally the services and the value that they bring to the table is foundationally different. Now, in 2021, there are already more than 10 official solution aggregators actively around the world. And some of them are more, particularly more active in the Asia countries and regions, such as WPI, Synex, in Asia in general. And then we got Magnica, Okaya in Japan. And so for those who are, really looking to see and understand more details about what are some of the offers that they can bring to you, what are some of the values that they can actually create for yourself, I would encourage you to reach out to some of your the active aggregators in your countries, in your regions, to really understand more details. Now, so this is just another view, for your reference as to where are some of the active service countries and regions for each of our official IoT solution aggregator today in the world. And we're actually putting more investments, in the aggregator practice into 2022 in the future. And so for those who are really looking for a solution, or you're looking for a channel to really scale your solutions, I would encourage you to reach out to an aggregator in your region and try to start engage with them for some potential business partnerships. In summary, I'd like you to take away with 3 E's today out of my session. The first E is experience, right? So experience is all the benefits and the values that the Intel Partner Alliance or IPA is bringing to you to address some of the business issues and problems for the IoT. Now, across the entire IPA, particularly down to the IoT solution communities, there are already more than thousands of active partners and companies and leaders inside the community that they can either offer you a software's ingredients, hardware ingredients, and all the different recipes of the solutions for you to access. So I would definitely encourage you, to sign up if you haven't done it and experience all the benefits and services that an IPA will be able to provide to you. The second E is to explore. Explore all the deployable offers like the Intel MRS and RRK, all the values that's bring to you. And then if you can potentially becoming a MRS or RRK providers, I would also encourage you to explore the product programs to understand about the values that the program bring to you, including the co-selling, co-marketing activities, and resources that's bring to the table, as well as all the potential go-to-market activities that you can partner together with Intel. Last but not least, engage, right? So for those who already have a solutions, I would definitely encourage you to engage with our scaling engines, and that is our IoT solution aggregators out there in the world and the region. Talk to them, understand what are some of the offers that they bring onto their shelf. How are they going to address some of the business problems that you or your customers are facing today on a day-to-day basis, and ultimately creating some potential, business opportunities and creating the business outcomes for all yourselves in the IoT world. With that, this comes to the end of my presentation and sharing today. And thank you once again. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Michael, for a very informative session. I think, today, I think what's refreshing is that, throughout this entire Intel presentation, I don't think we've heard a word about a Intel spec, a CPU speed, or how many cores there are, but you're offering a real solution to the real world. Congratulations. I think it's very relevant to our members. So, yeah.
No, thank you very much, John. Again, I think just first of all, it's to be very excited to be here, right? To be invited, doing a little bit of the sharing, have the opportunity to really just, give some of those latest and the greatest of what Intel IoTG is really addressing, some of the key focus areas, investments that we're looking forward from the RBHE side that Orietta and Marion mentioned earlier, and all the way down to some of the elements and programs, right, in the ecosystem that we are actually putting in place.
Great. So we fielded a couple of questions from the audience. I think to start, you have a great program on your solution, Ready Kids, and the various channel partners that you have. Can you name maybe a few of vertical markets where this program has seen the most success, and where maybe our members can get the most direct benefit from?
Yeah, definitely. And great question. I think, again, there are really, the way that we're really looking into how we orchestrate, the focus into some of the partner programs, mapping into the applications, vertical markets that, that was actually mentioned. Essentially, it's mapping to some of the highest TAM, market sizing opportunities that we have, right? So obviously, retail, banking, hospitality, education, all these critical segments and verticals are definitely part of the key focus areas. On top of that, there are definitely manufacturing, energy, healthcare, government or public sector, if you will, transportation, even agriculture. So there's like roughly 10 of the kind of leading verticals, if you will, that we actually putting more focus into. Now, similarly, from an application or use case perspective, there are machine condition monitoring, logistic or tracking, asset management, situational monitoring, energy monitoring and management, environmental monitoring. What else? Product inspection, or healthy human wellness monitoring, so on and so forth. I think there are also just another 10, in terms of the market sizing that we've been using to determine the priority of the focus. And for those who really shows interest and really wanted to know more details, about the mix, there is a very strong, powerful tool. It's externally available to the market already. It's called Chessboard, an Intel Chessboard, which you can definitely find some of the resources on Intel.com. And I can also share some more details with you, John, and Mitchell, right, our colleague in Taiwan, to actually get access to some of the audience.
Great. So it seems like a very broad range and lots of opportunities for our partners, our members, to get started with. There's one very interesting question. I think that it paves a good leadway to our future engagement with Intel. So I understand Intel has this website about all your solutions. But nothing beats seeing that, experiencing that in person. So is Intel planning any in-person event 2022, perhaps, where some of our integrated partners can visit and maybe engage with your solution providers and maybe try out and see some of the solutions in action?
Yeah, no, I would definitely say that would be the intent and the direction that we're heading, right? But again, I mean, really depending on how the COVID situation, the pandemic, the local government regulation, restriction, etc., that would really also be a determining factor, depending on whether or not we can do anything physically. Right. So depending on where you are, right? So for instance, I know we can start doing some physical activities in Taiwan.
Yep.
We can do that in the US as well. Okay. But there are, probably still some countries and regions, as far as I understand, that is still probably prohibited from some sort of physical activities. Right. But great, I think that's definitely a great ask, right? Because I would certainly be willing to see that, or be willing to attend in person as well. Now, okay. If Intel, is on top of all the activities that Intel is actually planning, as I kind of mentioned in the session earlier, you can definitely reach out to our partners in the geo, right? So some of the solution aggregators, they carry various of MRSs and RRK solutions on their shelf. And again, depending on the focus that they actually put into the countries and regions, there will be, handful of solutions ranging from tens of them to hundreds of them that you will be able to access to. And I know, in the Asia region, there are a few of the active aggregators. They are and will be planning a lot of those physical activities and events. So reach them, again, trying to also understand what they're offering. And, if there are any physical ones that they will be planning ahead of time, I'll make sure that I can also send some resources after the call.
That would be great. I think definitely please get in touch with the solution aggregators, and we'll ask Mitchell and Michael to keep DSMA informed of any of your activities in this region, Southeast Asia especially, and we'll definitely invite our partners to join. So I want to thank you once again, Michael, for a great session, and I want to thank the entire Intel team for a great event today. Really happy to learn so much more about what Intel has to offer, and I think our members will all feel the same. So thank you very much.
No.
Great. So at the end of the event, I would like to show you a brief video about our next session coming up, which, as Chairman Nick briefly touched on, will be about the metaverse. So let's see what it's going to be all about. Again, thank you very much for coming today. I'll see you online soon.
大家好，我是郑前池 DSMA 的理事长。DSMA 代表数字 视觉多媒体解决方案的一个组织，自2008年成立以来的非营利性的行业协会。我们目的在创造跟发展数字解决方案跟多媒体应用，在产业界之内做更多的商业合作平台跟商机。DSMA 也是至今在亚太地区非常领先的行业协会，专注于许多数字化的解决方案、多媒体应用、Multimedia、AI、XR、MR， 当然包括许多视听跟 Digital Signage， 特别是最近的 Metaverse 也是我们非常注重的一个领域，希望各位能够大家一起来加入 DSMA， 谢谢。
大家好，我是李英杰 ，ISLE 的总经理。ISLE 展全称为国际智慧显示及系统集成国际标示及 LED 展，是以屏幕显示、音视频系统集成、LED 等声光视讯领域为主要参展题材的专业展会。每届线下展出面积超8万平方米，是中国境内声光视讯产业相关规模最大、质量最高的展会。ISLE 展主办3方均隶属于中国商务部直属的中国对外贸易中心集团，包括广州交易会广告有限公司、中国对外贸易广州展览有限公司以及深圳市海展会展科技有限责任公司。协办单位为相关行业的国家级协会，包括中国光学光电子行业协会、发光二极管显示应用分会、中国工业合作协会、声光视讯专业委员会。ISLE 组委会借助广交会资源，倾力打造 ISLE 为行业最新技术发布及展示、学术交流及商贸对接的主流平台，汇聚各方资源，为声光视讯行业服务赋能。
这是高端的合作，双方秉承着优势互补、共创共赢的原则，非常热烈的期待。
为这个行业开拓更多的商机和建立起长远的桥梁，点赞。